Stalin, same thing. Stalin the great father, right? Wise man at the helm of the ship of the state. This is after the wall came down, some old man kissing a gilded statue of Stalin before it's going to be torn down. There he is with happy children, and not the children that his policies starved to death, as you might well imagine. There he is in his military uniform, sitting on what's for all intents and purposes, a throne. And this is really an uncanny one. It's very positive, right? That's Hitler or Stalin as head of state. He's in this hellish mandorla of fire, perfect, with God the Father at his head. That's Lenin, you know, who people still revere. You may know, and perhaps you don't, that I was nominated to be rector of the University of Glasgow, and so, which is an honorary position. And yesterday, the different candidates put up their manifestos, and the student newspaper put them up and then wrote analysis of the manifestos, which were biased, and they were appallingly biased and one-sided. And I wrote and told them that, and they said, well, we have a perfect right to our political opinion. And I thought, yeah, well, for sure, but you know, you are journalists after all, and maybe you could be just trying to tell what's happening. It's like, no, there's none of that. And they said that one of the candidates that they clearly recommended, who seems to be a person who's perfectly heroic in his own right. I mean, he's taken on very many difficult legal cases and worked for the oppressed and downtrodden who clearly exist. It was either him or another candidate, doesn't really matter, that they described as Bolshy and outspoken. Bolshy meaning Bolshevik-like. It's like, well, you know, he's appropriately Bolshy. It's like, it's no different than saying, well, he's appropriately Nazi-like. Like, what the hell is that? I mean, there were 50 million people that were killed in the Soviet Union by the Bolshis, and maybe twice that many in China. And that says nothing about Cambodia and all the other places there were radical left bloodbaths. You think it's cute to call someone Bolshy? Jesus, it's appalling. It's appalling. It's not some fashionable thing that you do. It's a participation in some of the deepest intellectual morasses of evil that human beings have ever managed to create, and yet it's fashionable. It shows you what the universities are worth. Well, there's the downside of Stalin. Yeah, as Stalin as hangman. That sort of cartoon would have gotten you killed in the Soviet Union. There's Stalin as Satan himself in his stained glass representation. There's a statue of Stalin covered with red paint for the blood after the wall came down. There's Stalin as what it's very much like Modina's Satan, right? You look at that, and it's exactly the same archetypal idea. There's the Americans going cap in hand to get a little largesse from Papa Stalin. That's a painting of the communists forcibly collectivizing the productive farmers in the Soviet Union in the early 1920s, the kulaks, right? Everything from whom they stole and raped them and murdered them and shipped them off to Siberia and killed them and wiped out the productive farmers of the Soviet Union, and then starved 6 million Ukrainians to death. And there's some poor kid in the 1930s whose ribs are showing, you know, taking a bath in this pot with his eyes wide, and you know, he's one of the fortunate ones because he's still alive. It's like Bolshy, yeah, cute, pretty, fun, fashionable, lovely.